We're going to record this. Is everybody okay with that? Either nod your head if you're okay. It'll be posted for public. Anybody can see it, or thumbs up is good. Thumbs up, head. Masha, is there some way you can say okay too?
Yes, I'm okay with it.
There you go. That's all we needed. Okay. All right. Well, everybody remember what we talked about? Oh, wait. You got to have the joke. All right. You have to have that. I forgot that. Almost forgot it. Aren't you glad I remembered it? Okay. Here we go. The difference between a dirty Greyhound station and a lobster with large breasts, one is dusty bus station. The other is a busty crustacean. What? Lauren,
Our teenage
what's your
daughter
deal, kid? Come on, that was funny. Just sitting there grinning. Come on. She's holding back. She's like gritting.
No, I
teeth.
honestly spaced out. I was thinking about this riddle thing.
Oh, so you want me to say it again? Okay. The difference between a dirty Greyhound station and a lobster with large breasts is one is a dusty bus station. The other is a busty crustacean. There you go. There you go. You got
That was
it.
fun.
Yeah.
That's middle school humor.
That's good. That's what we like, baby. That's where we live. That's it. All right. Enough of that. I know I don't want you guys, having a heart attack or something. Who was it that was taking notes last time? I forgot. Anybody remember? Somebody took notes and they're not.
Hunter.
Huh?
Hunter.
And he's not here. Is that usual? That's typical. That's so typical. All right. Let me ask you this then. Who will be willing to, there's not going to be a lot of notes today, but there are some things that probably we ought to keep as notes. What I thought we would do today, we went over all of the things last week, and Heidi and those guys shared their checkoff sheets for how to prepare an activity, and some checkoff sheets also about talents and interests and those kind of things. One of the things, though, I wanted to walk away with everybody having something recorded is basically a list of activities, things that people have done, things that could be done, ideas that folks have, something that's just like big, and you can look at it and you can pick something. If you're running an APG or working with an APG, you can just pick something off of it. Yes, that'll work. So I need somebody to volunteer to, as we're going through this, to make that list. Anybody?
John, I always take notes. I'd be happy to do that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So at the top of the list, of course, as you know, I bring it up every time we talk, just because it's just something to tag with, and it's so typical, is the Crab-A-Rama. Okay? Remember the Crab-A-Rama? Anybody not remember the Crab-A-Rama who has been here? Of course, if you weren't here, you don't remember it. But if you were here. All right, Crab-A-Rama. I'll go over it real quick, and then we'll move on to other ideas that you guys have. The Crab-A-Rama took place in one day. The promotion for it would last, well, ultimately ended up lasting a year. You'd promote it for a whole year until it'd come around every year. But it would really get lots of promotion, would start up about 3 weeks before it. The Crab-A-Rama had families there, and it had people who used there, both. They were all there. It had activities that were planned into it, including tug of wars. It was like a big picnic at a state park that's on the coast here. And you could catch crabs and everything else. The groups would divide up into different teams to provide. There would be 2 meals that were served, one for lunch and one for dinner at the evening. In between the meals is when all the activities, everything from fishing and catching crabs to something called a crab toss, a rope, tug of war. There were they divided up the teams and did volleyball tournament, also, you know, badminton, just different things. And I still have some. Did I bring one in? I was going to bring one in. I don't. I still have some of the trophies that were created, not big ones, just little ones, little trophies for different activities, crab toss, tug of war, you know, best song. Different people would sing songs, you know, there were just different things. And most of it was pretty insane and pretty crazy. And everybody loved them, just loved them. All right. So that's one idea. I'd like to hear others that you may have already done or have been thinking about. Nobody's going to volunteer. Even a thought about, you haven't even thought about, well, let me help you with it then. All right. Let's see, what do we have coming up? There's a holiday coming up. What is it?
I have a friend whose parents ran Young Life for years, and she suggested turkey bowling for Thanksgiving.
There we go. There we go. Turkey bowling. Historically, and I don't know, I don't know, maybe we should do this year. Lifeway itself should do this year. But it's a little bit harder because of the social distancing and everything. But historically, I will tell you that there was every Thanksgiving, there was a special meeting, and it was called the gratitude meeting. All right, and it was one of the meetings where the families and the people involved, here comes Robin. It was one of the meetings where it was mixed. There were families and group members all in the same room, and they would have a gratitude meeting. It has historically been a very, very powerful meeting. Most of the time when they would have those gratitude meetings, and we weren't worried about social distancing and that kind of stuff, they would also have food. There would be food there. It might not be turkey, unless you want to bowl with it, but it would be, I like turkey bowling, by the way, but I think that would be, I can think of some real fun stuff with some frozen turkeys. That would be pretty interesting. Hey, Robin.
Hey, I'm driving. Sorry.
That's okay. Are you okay with us recording this and it being public?
Absolutely.
All right, good deal. We're making a list of different types of activities that can be put together that have actually been done. All right. And I already went over
heard you talk
as
about,
always.
well, and I heard you just talk about the gratitude meeting, and I'll tell you, the food was a huge draw. It was like having another Thanksgiving all over again, and people love it.
Oh, they're awesome.
You
Man.
know?
They were great.
So what would you
Yeah.
guys do in the meeting? What makes it a gratitude meeting?
The topic is gratitude. And you always would pick one or two people that you already knew you were going to call on to get it going, but then it usually it carried itself real easily. The food was always done as a what do you call it? Everybody brings something. What's that called?
Like buffet style.
Yeah,
A potluck.
potluck. Yeah, everybody just brought stuff, you know. Usually there was a little bit of planning to make sure that everybody wasn't bringing the same thing, but it wasn't much. I mean, they're very, very spontaneous. All right. So what did we just have?
Halloween.
Halloween. Did y'all see the picture I posted on the APG website? I think that's where it was.
I don't know if you posted it there, but you're talking about the one with staff
Yes.
all dressed up. Yeah,
Yes.
That was funny.
Yeah. Let me see. The Halloween things have been a absolute hoot because everybody likes to get dressed up. we have done small ones, we've done large ones, we've done, you know, outside, inside, all over the place. Again, the food was potluck. Typically, it doesn't cost anything to put these things on. There was dances. A lot of times in the Halloween things, the guy who was heading the program would have some sort of costume where you couldn't tell who he is, and he would do some sort of goofy, you know, show thing at some point in it. He might be, well, it would vary widely, that kind of thing. In fact, that picture, you know, Robin, that I posted, the guy who's Mario is me in that
What?
picture. The Mario is me, but at that same time, because I was running that program at the time, at that same time, I ended up doing, oh God, who was the rock and roll guy with the cross on his head? And
I didn't know that was you, but I can
yeah, that was
recognize.
me. That was me. And we did this pantomime thing of the rock and roll death head guy. I can't remember his name or anything, but
Was
anyhow,
that
so
Ozzy Osbourne?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's who it was. But I had a mask that actually looked like him, you know, and was able to do some of the stuff and everything. I don't think it was Ozzy. It's the other one. There's another guy. I don't know. Don't worry about it. But you get the idea. Y'all get the idea. Now notice, though, that what's happened here is you got an activity in October. You got an activity in November. And in December, we would have another meeting. Robin, tell them what that meeting's called.
The White Elephant Party.
Yeah, we'd have a white elephant party,
Yeah.
and there would be a meeting about that too. And they were crazy. White elephant parties were insane. They were crazy, you know. What we ended up doing,
Yeah.
geez, what we ended up doing in the most successful programs is every month there's an all program gathering, you know. And then on the weekends, there's smaller things that go on. But if you start trying to hit some kind of all program gathering once a month, or one all program event once a month, everything else seems to lay out around that. And the events themselves create other social opportunities in between. And so it just gets down to kind of trying to lay it all out and everything.
Hey, John, could you talk about the Rockathon? That's one event
Okay.
that everyone's going to want to know about because of the potential for funding.
Okay. Robin, I would love, if you wouldn't mind, would you talk about it? I would love to hear what struck home with you
All right. Well,
as an experience, as a kind of an experiment. I'd like to hear.
when I first got involved in Lifeway, it was almost right after the Rockathon. There was so much enthusiasm in the group because they had just finished up I guess it was like a month long or a couple weeks long of everybody trying to get funding from their families. So it was a competition where the kids would go out and try to draw funding, and it would culminate in an event called a Rockathon where they got prizes and they were doing like karaoke and all kinds of fun stuff. I know that the last one was mostly adults, but they acted like kids, so they had a great time. And that's one of the things that we need to focus on, is how to make it exciting for the families too. You know.
Okay. All right.
They get too serious.
Yeah. To get more specific.
But it's
thank you
the
for
funny
doing
part,
that.
you know, the part that I'm interested in knowing more about.
Is the family thing, right? You dropped out.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Yeah, I know. I'm driving.
oh, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure we had it right.
So,
The Rockathon, guys, was an all-night activity. Okay. And what would happen is everybody, the family, you didn't have to be a young person to take part. You could be a parent or a family member. And you would have pledges. You'd get pledges, and there were awards for getting the most pledges. And the pledges were for every hour that you rock, you know, that you dance, basically, then this is how much I will donate. Okay. And the kids would get sponsors, and the family members would get sponsors, and then they would do it. And some of them would dance for hours and hours and hours. And it was a lot of fun. And like Robin was saying, there were pantomimes, there were all sorts of things that went on. There were karaoke deals, lots and lots of different things that you can do. So a Rockathon. The Rockathon, we always planned it to hit a month when there wasn't a natural holiday coming along. It was a good thing to put into that. Usually it was during the summers also, by the way. Other ideas?
did you talk about the Easter egg hunt?
No, I'm waiting to see if
Oh, wait, before that, see, a lot of these are going to hit around holidays. And what I love that your daughter did was during Valentine's, was the non-Valentine's Day or unvalentine's. I don't remember what she called it, but oh my gosh, she got really into that.
I know. If my daughter gets into something, it's gone. It's going to be wacky. So if you do plan something around a Halloween or a Valentine's or a Thanksgiving, whatever, the big thing is inclusion. The other big thing is get several people involved so they'll be included by being involved itself in the planning. Get them into it. Let me see. We've gotten up to January. New Year's Eve. What are the people in the program going to do on New Year's Eve if you don't have something? Okay. So do something. You know, New Year's Eve kind of does itself. We historically did something called round robins on New Year's Eve, and they were all night things, and they were broken up into different kinds of meetings, entertainment, all sorts of stuff. Usually started with a speaker and then went into separate different meetings. It was just a wild deal, but it did go all night. I have to tell you that the all night activities were not as well attended after the advent of cell phones and computers as they were before. Anybody want to guess why? Before the cell phones and all of that, it was much harder for the adolescents and young adults and adults to get with each other for long periods of time. So the opportunity to get away from mom and dad and get with your buddies all night long was a big deal. It was well attended. It was a real different feeling. As it became less, like that, it was really easy to always tag up with your buddies because you got a cell phone and all that kind of stuff that you just, tag up anytime. The all night things became less as enthusiastic as they were before. They were a combination. There was a dance period in the deal, but there were also meetings and all sorts of things that went on all night. New Year's Eve was one where we would have that. We would have one in New Year's Eve. We would have one for older and others group, the adults, and we would have 3 a year. And then we would have one in the summer. There would be a summer round robin. So that was 3 months right there covered with big activities just around the round robins. So January, you can do something like that. There's other things you can do in January. Come on, guys, help me out here. So somebody come up with something. Just, I don't care how crazy it is.
I don't have anything crazy, but something that I was doing for the recovery high school before we started working on the APG that I'm now going to utilize through the APG was finding, we have amazing resources here as far as activities. We have an aquarium, we have a zoo, we have the MOPOP, the Museum of Modern Art. We have so much, and you contact those spaces and you say, you pitch the story of who you're representing, and they throw things at you. Like, we have unlimited free access to our aquarium because of who our kids are and who we're serving. So that's something that for like our cold, rainy months here in Seattle, we'll go to the aquarium for one of
Awesome.
those weeks.
Well,
And we'll have a meeting, and then they'll give us a room to have a meeting while we're there.
Yeah. And just call it something goofy, flapper night. I don't know, fin win. Something goofy, and if you want to take it to a really weird place, make it costume and tell them it has to be theme, has to be aquarium themed costume. Anytime you add these things on, it becomes special, and it's the idea is do things that will create memories that they'll never forget. I have had people tell me that in their relapses, it was some memory of some goofy thing that just haunted them and brought them back to recovery. So create that depth in that way. That's what enthusiasm should be called, insanity.
I have one. I don't know if you guys have done it or thought about it, but what about like a prom for the kids that weren't able to go or didn't have a good experience?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And again, pick a theme that makes them shake their head. They're like, what? That kind of thing. And prom happens when? Typically.
I honestly didn't go to prom, so I don't even know.
April or May usually.
Yeah. Okay. So now, look how we're filling the year up here. We're getting a bunch of things put together. When you do that in Seattle, I want to go to the market and have an eat-a-thon is what I want to have. Just saying. What else? Somebody come up with another one. You got prom.
Something for like St. Patrick's Day.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Everybody can get green, St. Patrick's Day is easy, and it's an important one, and especially in some different areas you're going to be working. If you're working in certain parts of New York, it's a real good idea to have something for St. Patrick's Day, and you're going to avoid some relapses that way.
We could do something. So I feel like we've gotten something through the holidays, and then February, you've got Valentine's Day, March, you have St. Patrick's Day, April, you have prom, or May. And then for us, June is when the school year ends. So some sort of celebration for the kids graduating high school.
Yep, absolutely.
Because a lot of our high schools, we do have the recovery high school, but we also have kids at the public high schools, just the regular high schools, and those events may not be safe for them to celebrate. So having a sober event would be good.
Yeah. Y'all have the idea. You get it. You know exactly what we're talking about. But it really gets down to just to be blunt, it gets down to us making ourselves do it. If we lead it, they follow. If we don't, it don't happen. Robin?
This is where the steering committee comes in.
Yeah, steering committee
is
really powerful.
Get them involved in planning a lot and coming up with these ideas, both the parents and the kids, make them so it's their idea and then they'll be enthusiastic about it. But also about the funding. Like if they're doing fundraisers for during the summer, there should be some kind of trip if you can. If you can do something like we do a fun one, and then we also like we'd have a break during the winter time. That would be more of a fun trip, but during the summer would be a service work, like going and helping the people that were in the hurricanes, or you know, I know
Yeah.
you took kids to Mexico, but that's
Can't do that.
that was crazy.
Well, it was
Right.
not at the time, but you can't do it now. Before Mexico shifted, we would, well, to give you some history and some ideas, what Robin mentioned was the big storm out in Nashville, the big flood that happened around Nashville, a decade ago. And I don't know, we took 50, 60 young people there. And the Lifeway crew was responsible for moving the entire offices of the Nashville flood recovery. They worked, bless their hearts, they worked, but they had a blast too. We also, when the big drought hit in Mexico in the Copper Canyon region, we took 5 vans down there, 5 10-passenger vans down there, built a water line to bring water into the Copper Canyon, and kids had didn't I tell y'all about the burial? Did I not tell y'all about that? This was a winter trip though. This was not a summer. We went down in the winter, and we started working on buildings and helping build things and stuff like that down in this really, the Tarahumara Indians live down in something called the Copper Canyon in Mexico. And we would drive down there, and we were down there in the winter and working on one of the medical facilities that they were building for the Indians down there. And one afternoon, we were driving over to the trading post to get some supplies, for us. And we were headed back, and it was snowing, because this was actually up in the mountains. It says it's the canyon, but there's mountains, then it drops down into the canyon. And it was snowing. We were on the roads. We were headed back, and there was this Indian man walking along in the snow, carrying some bags and stuff. So we stopped to give him a ride to his house. And he gets in the van with all of us and all of these young people who are in early recovery and everything. And he tells us his wife has just died. And we take him back to this hovel that they live in, he and the 2 babies. And there she is. And she's passed away, and he needs to bury her. And the young people just responded, and they boiled water, because see, the ground was frozen. And they boiled water, and they thawed the ground. And they prepared the grave for this lady and this man. And they held those babies while the burial was done. And then there were some authorities that arrived that could take the children. And they arrived by helicopter. And then we got in the vans, and we went back, and we continued working on the medical facilities, for these folks. Needless to say, there were some real lives changed that day. And when I tell you that you plan these things, and then God has his own way, in my opinion, whatever you want to call it, the force, whatever it is, has a way of introducing activities into these things that will stick forever and ever. And if you talk with people who have gone through these things, I mean, that's obviously a very dramatic and a very deep and touching thing. But I have had people tell me about things that happened at a dress-up party that changed their lives forever. It's that interpersonal thing, you know, that goes on. So do look for, especially summer, look for opportunities where they can serve also. A lot of change happens when somebody gives back to something. A lot of change happens. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional when I talk
It was a
about
beautiful story, John. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Well, it really happened. It's a wild thing. It's like, what? Something else, you know. But it
Well,
wouldn't have
these
happened
things,
had we not gone to the trouble to rent the van, you know, organize it, put junk in the van and go down. There are other parts in that. Every time we went, we would stock the van up with toys. I mean, it would be packed with toys. Crossing the border with vans full of toys and dope fiends was always an interesting thing, you know. And we'd go down there and we'd go into this Samachique was a little village, and we'd go into the village. The kids would pour out of the hills because they were used to us arriving, and then we'd start handing out the toys and everything. You know, it was real neat. Real neat. So look for something. Look for what it is, the opportunities to do that. Serving is a real important thing. Same time, I'll tell you this. We were up at the top of the mountain, and one of the mountains, and we were at a Mexican national park. We had these 5 vans, and we circled the vans up, cranked up the music, and they had a dance right there, out there. Next thing we knew, we had young people from Mexico were dancing also in the crowd. It was just a hoot, you know. It was like something out of a movie. Yeah. So do these things.
yeah, I can tell it doesn't just change the kids, you know.
No, it changed
And,
things.
you know, something about this too is that you have to be willing to take a risk because, I mean, I always tell people about what my daughter did to cut short one of those trips because she relapsed on one of them. And it was horrible, you know. But you have to be willing to take a risk and know that things like that may happen. So make sure that you try to plan for it and have an idea of how do you respond. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a parent. We always told parents, you know, here's the deal. If they act out, we'll put them on a plane. You know, we didn't always do that, but we told them we very well probably will. You know, it depends on how things were going, what happened, etc. Whether we, you know, would put them on a plane or not. But we told the parents to prepare for that. That could easily happen. You know? Yeah. And even that, the beauty of the alternative peer group program is it'll take an incident like that, a relapse on a trip or something like that, and turn it around and make it into a learning and growth opportunity. If they are isolated, these incidents, they just turn into another trip to jail or some, you know, something that doesn't move in a positive direction. How you respond makes all the difference in the world. And with this disease, with an average of 6 big blows, you're going to have a lot of these things, you know, 6 relapse ones. Other ideas? September. What happens in September? Back to school, sometimes.
You could do some sort of like fun run. I don't know.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Or a fun walk.
Well, we have a lot of nice hiking trails, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes from right where up in the Cascades. So, you know, I've always envisioned, because there's one hike that I want to do, and I think that it'd be really cool for the teens to go on. Whether they think it's cool or not, I don't know.
You could do
If,
like like a school supplies drive and then like donate to like a local charity or food pantry.
Yeah, great idea. If the guy who runs the APG in Santa Clarita, California, if he was here, Steve Markley, they have these wild bicycle rides. And I mean, there's something else that they do. I mean, it's like, whoa, you guys are crazy. You know, the guy who runs off to Mexico with a bunch of young people thinks he's crazy. That's how tough they are. You know? Taking advantage, like you were talking about, James, taking advantage of the different, you know, what is there to be offered, you know, by the environment. What in this environment is special and unique, can we work off of? So how many have we
I
covered?
think another,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, another thing you can think about is not so much going out, but bringing people in. Like who's in your community who can come and help, or who might want to speak to the kids and the families, you know, someone unique or whatever. I know we have that here. Every area is different. You know, not everybody has a John Gates, but
Thank God.
Could have like a hypnotist come. That'd be fun. I remember I had
Awesome.
one.
What a great idea. Hypnotist. Write that down. Yeah. Ooh, how fun is that? Yeah. Oh, we had a casino night. Our casino nights were always a hoot, and they'd have dance contests, and they were or talent shows. That's what it was. Casino
Yeah.
talent shows, casino nights. Those are just a hoot.
I was actually just about to say either a talent show or like open mic night or something like that for like singing, songwriting, poems, dancing, all that kind of stuff.
Right. How many you got on your list right now, Michelle?
I'm halfway through my 3rd page.
Wow.
I mean, they're small pages, but
I don't care. That's a lot of stuff.
yeah, keep brainstorming. This is great.
Let's see.
You know, you were talking about bringing speakers in. You could ask a local celebrity. We have a rapper coming today to our meeting with the kids that James and I sadly have to miss.
No.
Because we're on coronavirus lockdown, but he's someone in recovery.
I'll be there.
And Robin's going to be there. He's someone in long-term recovery, and he's got a good message, and he's been active with some of these kids in the past. So he was easy to get to come in and speak.
Cool. Do y'all have annual banquets yet? Any of you? You do? If you don't, you want to have one. And it's to a purpose. It is to celebrate all that's going on. It's also to raise funds. A gala, right? And you sell sponsorships at tables, sponsorships on the flyer, you know, the announcement, all of that kind of stuff. That brings us up to some of the social media. It's interesting to me that none of us have suggested things like a podcast. Okay, but that's a real thing. And it could be regular, or it could be intermittent. And by the way, they last. Anything you do like that will last on and on and on, because once it's posted and available. Some of the things we've been talking about that include, you know, entertainment, and one of the things you might want to really look into doing is when you do something like a talent show or something, film it, video it, and use it to post, you know, as an activity that reaches beyond that. What we're saying here is these things that we're talking about actually reach out to the community also, as well as being internal. They work both ways, you know. The activity, and I was thinking about this when Robin was talking about using steering committee or people in the program to help plan these things. Those people, it's good for the activity that they do it, but it's also good for them that they do it. As they plan it, they learn, and they get, you know, it's a really interesting two-way street. So it's important to include your clients, for lack of a better word, the group members in the process, family and young people, or not so young people, depending on what you're doing. Other ideas?
I have a comment about that, that changed my life. My claws were so firmly in my kids and their problems that getting out of that and serving the group and helping that way really helped me get my head on straight early on. You know, the other families would help me figure out how to come out of my shell in a group of strangers in a place where I didn't want to be, you know. So it really is very powerful to watch that group grow and thrive, you know.
Again, anybody got any other ideas? Yeah, that's the way it works. It's the relationships are the bottom line. Definitely. Other ideas? Come on.
Well,
Other ideas can include like fundraising. I know we did a ton of car washes, you know, especially just impromptu. Hey, we're going to do a car wash in a couple of weeks because the kids are getting antsy, you know.
Garage sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you can do garage sales online too, by the way.
I also had on my list, it's a big thing here to do like clothing swaps, like have the girls all get together and bring clothes they don't want anymore because they've cleaned out the closet, and the boys, it's really popular here to do like thrift shopping. And so it's like thrift shopping, but it's your friend's stuff instead of some rando
Sounds
stuff.
like fun. Yeah.
And then another one that we're hopefully, I'm hoping this comes together, is our more permanent space is going to be in a senior center. And so the opportunity is to work with the teams, to work with the seniors. They have a hot meals program. So I've been talking to the program director there about our teams doing serving hot meals to the seniors, and any opportunity to kind of combine those two generations. We're looking at various ways to do that. So I hope it comes together.
Exciting. There's some things that are starting to change at the association level, and I'm going to close with this a little bit. One of the things, I'm involved with some conversations right now with some of the residential programs. See, in Houston, these things, we've been doing this long-term approach for so long. There are some of the residential programs have actually appropriated some of this, you know, and we'll go ahead and put together the elements of the alternative peer group into their own program. And, you know, so for example, the park, if you go to the park, you're going to be involved. It'll fall under alumni or aftercare, those kind of things. But the presence of the APG push here has leveraged longer compliance with what the research says. Right? The research doesn't say 60, 90 days, 6 months. It says 18 months to 4 years. That's what the research says. Well, the park, for example, their alumni program goes on with families for a year, okay? And they have evolved in that direction and didn't even realize it until recently. They're starting to go, wait a minute, we're kind of running an APG. And I went, yeah, you really are. You really are kind of running an APG for your people who have gone through residential. So it's in discussion right now that group and some others might in fact start to become a part of the association as a whole, which would be really cool, because knowing where to send somebody for residential, you know, and those kind of things where it's going to be fleshed up well with the APG approach. In other words, they're going to come back to your group, you know, and they're going to have some bent around the recovery process that matches up with what you're doing. That's a really, really important thing. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens. Also, a lot of times those guys have command of larger budgets than some of us do, and they can help with some of these activities. That's why I'm bringing it up right now. If you can find a clinical element, we've talked about that in the past. If you can find a clinical element that has the same heart and understands what you're doing and is ready to work together with clients and things, they also can provide some resources to make some of these things happen. In the early days of PDAP, Palmer Drug Abuse Program, back in the 70s, what really, really kicked it off is when the clinical element through something called HIH, Houston International Hospital, really started to work together, and suddenly there were lots of resources available for staffing and paying staff and training and all sorts of things. So keep an eye out for that kind of thing in your community, somebody who seems to get what you're doing. Okay? Anything else, you guys?
I'm not sure if this was said before, but I was just thinking like a game night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it wasn't. Yeah, because yeah, you're right. Yeah. We have done that. I've done that with my family online, done games. We do it every Sunday night. We did it again last Sunday night. Every Sunday night we all get together, and they're in different places, and we play. Right now we're playing Trivial Pursuit, and we have it's called the Genesis Edition, and it's all based on Canada, and none of us know anything about it. So it asks questions like, who was the third prime minister of Canada? And we're like, I don't know. Those kind of things. I don't know why we're doing that, but we are, desperate times of the COVID.
I was also thinking too, like an inspirational movie night.
Great. That's great. And you can do that. You can do that with social distancing too. Sure can. Some. Other ideas?
I think you could do something gender specific, maybe like chick flick night.
Yeah, we've done those. We have done guys' nights and girls' nights. Definitely.
Chick flick night with Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A night. I'm looking to see what's happening. We got a couple of things coming up I want to talk to y'all about. Next week, we will still have training. We'll have another training. But put this on your calendar, please. Please, this is important. You'll see something else that'll come to you, but I want to tell you guys first. On the 18th at 11 a.m., the association as a whole will have an award ceremony. Okay? And I think there's 8 awards that'll be given out and, to different people in the association around the country and stuff. And it'll have to be done online, but that ought to be cool. So please invite your staffs, invite your whoever, your families and members are welcome. I hope that they just blow the Zoom up. I hope we have little tiny pictures all through it. So that's on the 18th, and it'll be at 11 o'clock at this time. Okay? Any last minute things?
Do you have a topic for next week?
I don't. You got a suggestion?
I don't know if it's time for this, but I know that I'm really thinking a lot about the aspect of the groups around the cohesion around the house rules and how to do a strategy appointment, the whole climbers and contacts, like the whole beginning process of how does everyone get the same language? What's the appropriate way to do that? House rules is a big deal. That was a really big deal for me and for the group at the time, that everybody had the same language around that.
Yeah, it made it hard for the kids to play everybody off against each other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we will do that next week. Strategy, appointments, and house rules. How do you
Cool.
start? Is that okay?
Awesome.
New Hampshire people probably won't be in. We have a holiday that day, so I don't think that you'll see us.
What is it? What is it? New Hampshire Day? What?
It should be. I don't think we have our own day.
Veterans.
What
Yeah,
is
it's
it?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Oh.
Hey, we'll take what we can get, you know?
Okay. Oh, yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Let's see. What do we want to do?
I vote we still meet.
Okay.
If you're okay with that, John, because we're plugging along here in Seattle and need
All right.
that.
Yeah, we'll meet.
That's
The New Hampshire folks will have to work extra because they'll have to, when they come back from their holiday, they'll have to watch the video.
I think we can manage that.
All right. All right. I love you guys. Y'all have a good day. Thank you again. Best part of my week. I'm not kidding you. It's a hoot.
Bye, John. Thank
Y'all
you
have
so
a good
much.
day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.